And then he said this. He said that lasted about 24 hours. See what I'm saying? Which is also saying he's telling you reality. Reality is even if he did have the heart to want to change your life, he can't do it because that's a myth. You see, that's a myth. But going back, but the science of it that the Egyptians understood here is we look at the Pharaoh as the divine child of inspiration. He is the icon of the figure that transforms my life or gives me the energy and gives me the actual know-how or the insight to transform my life, but not the political power.
Right.
You know,
now, Bobby,
we got black people now.
You know what I noticed, Bobby? I noticed that they superimposed the same mythological motif on Barak as with the same spiritual onus of the Haile Selassie ideology and the cosmological myth.
That is an excellent thing. That is an excellent point to make the comparison with Haile Selassie and Barack Obama, because Haile Selassie historically and politically didn't do the things that mythology and culture would suggest. You see what I'm saying? But it didn't really matter, because the simple fact here is, what is the inspiration but something that is an iconology, you see what I'm saying, of culture. So the whole line of Judah and all that kind of thing. Now, on the other hand, Bob Marley did manifest that. Bob Marley did manifest, even so, that I even talked to brothers that was in colonial Africa, and they said the last part from the 1970s and 1980s, we threw off the shackles of colonization by listening to Bob's music. So he was a manifestation of that. But it is never the person who's the real manifestation of it is the one that's always known.
Right.
That's always known. His stuff is always behind the scenes, and we look at his impact after he's gone or after something has occurred. But as far so you are right. The Haile Selassie thing is a great example to understand the same Barack Obama thing. We are dealing with a mythology and an ideology other than a reality on the political level. On the political level, hey, he just got a job like everybody else. You see what I'm saying? A job like everybody else, and that's excellent. You see, that's excellent. As a matter of fact,
listen, Bobby,
I'm gonna use that one.
Listen, the way I figured it out was I looked at his other name, Tafari, right? You know, Tafari. So I looked at the root of the word, and Tafari comes from beauty, Tafarit. So I said, wow, let me go to the Tree of Life. I go to the Tree of Life, and the central Sephiroth, which mediates 4 Sephiroth above it and 4 below it, is Tifaret. So here goes my 44, right? Then, when I look at the actual word Tifaret, it equals 1,081. However, on each side of the word, both letters equal 400. So there's another 44 motif. Then the cosmological symbol of Tifaret is a king, right? And then the other symbol is a little baby boy, right? Who is the king, but becomes the king by way of trial and tribulation by mediating the 4 worlds above and the 4 worlds below, right? Then the symbol is the sun. Then the planetary body associated with the sun, the celestial import of the sun is that of Leo. And then the brother is a Leo, right? So I'm like, wow. President. Right, well, 44th president. So I said, wow, it's all here.
Well, it's interesting here because you said something about the beauty. Now, it is known that we have the mystical Christ that everybody had, and then we had a historical Christ that was basically an infusion or installation of the Romans or what have you. And it took them a couple of years to make this historical thing a reality in the people's minds. But what made this historical thing stick was the beauty of the story.
Wow.
The story was so beautiful. The story came out of Egypt. It came out of Coptic Gnostic. You see what I'm saying? It was just a later day version of the Horus myths and all that the Gnostic people put together. But the story was so beautiful, the whole Jesus concept was so beautiful until it was able to transform reality when the people decided that they wanted to make it a historical fact, which is not true.
Yes.
But they were, what made this falsehood of a historical Jesus come to light? It came to light because it's a form of a spell. It's a story that was so beautiful until it captivated people. And as a result, they could take this mythology, this story, and make it a reality to this day that it's the greatest hoax in world history. You see, it's the greatest hoax in world history. So, you know what I'm saying? And literally destroy the ancient world who had the same Christ motif, which is talking about our own souls. So yes, so here goes again. That particular concept, that can actually that people that's looking for something and don't understand what it is used for can be misguided. And that means that I see people now that all of a sudden now they start watching the news, they start watching CNN, they start watching Fox, they start watching CNBC, and these people before Barack Obama never even watched the news. And why? Because they're literally trying to take this man's candidacy and follow it as a road to redemption of their own life and stuff like that. And I say, you done fell off. You forgot the inspirational part, which your own life already has within you, and now you following this political bullshit. Which you're going to be disappointed. So yes, it's very interesting, man, how this whole thing goes down. Yeah.
Okay, we got to get to some more callers. But
yeah, okay, brother. Yeah, but hit me up, man, because hit me up.
All right, I got you, Bobby.
Yeah, cool.
Tell them the date one more time, Brother Rashid, for the lecture. Well, listen, the date is still tentative.
Okay.
Let me tell the brothers and sisters what it is. Because this retrograde, everybody know your phone been dropping, people been crashing in this stuff, fighting all type of stuff. What happens is this. We are going to come together to do the minority report on June 6th and 7th. However, that is tentative based upon our scheduling. If we, in fact, do it, we might do it in Harlem. So we got an extensive email list. We're going to let everybody know within the know, those who are interested in this, this frequency of information we offer. You will be in the know as to the specific date and whether or not the location will be in Harlem and or Long Island University.
Yeah, well, yes, well, people just be on the lookout because they're going to announce it.
Right.
Cool.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thanks a lot, Brother Rashid.
Yeah.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah.
Okay, brother.
Okay.
Okay, that was Brother Rashid, y'all. All right, let me, before we get to some more callers, Brother Bobby, a brother on the chat line has a question for you.
Yes.
Brother Red Pill, he wants to know, at what point does the participant in consciousness begin doing the work and stop waiting for the teachers to do the work for them?
Well, it's interesting. You have to come to that realization. You have to come to that realization. I think that personally, is to stick at something. Stick it. Keep studying to the point that things open up for you. Now, here's a good methodology on studying. Don't choose one discipline or one area. Don't say, I'm only going to study ancient Egypt, because you're going to be lost. Don't say, I'm only going to study India. Don't say, I'm only going to study Kabbalah. Don't say you. So my point here is be open to all of it, because that's the way the initiation will come. The initiation will come. It might send you all kinds of things. They got a show coming on tonight of how Bruce Lee changed the world. And they're using LL Cool J and a whole bunch of rappers and a whole bunch of comedians and a lot of people in black light to say how this thing happened. Well, that was a form of a mystery system. So you got to be open. That's going to be on the History Channel tonight. So you got to be open to say that in order to allow yourself the avenue which you're going to excel in, make sure that you get the best education you can, and that is trying to study, be open to anything. You know, somebody might come and say, I want you to look at this I Ching or this I Ching. Get down with it. Somebody might come and say, I want you to look at this tarot. Get down with it. You dabble in all of it, and that way you allow yourself the opportunity to be privy to that in which you're searching for. But don't shut yourself off into one discipline, because all disciplines survived the ancient world, but they survived in fragments.
There you go, yeah.
They survived in fragments. They don't have one complete discipline. And what you do is you're supposed to put them all together. It's like this guy Ahmed Osman. He wrote the book Akhenaten and Moses, one and the same. And he said what he didn't find in the Bible, he found in the Quran. Mm-hmm. You see? And what he didn't find in the Quran, he found in the Torah. And what he didn't find in that, he found in general Egyptian history. So you got to use all the actual things. These things are left behind as tools and keys. So don't throw your Bible out. Now, it's one thing to argue based on the historical aspect of the Quran or Islam. But don't throw the Quran out, because the Quran, those spirits come through and they're compiling these books. They come through and put the right text in so people can get later on. Case in point. I don't know what happened to my Quran. I used to have a Quran in the 90s, so somehow I got lost. But a brother came and fixed our car and left a Quran in the back. Well, I'm saying, well, man, he left a Quran. So the first thing I said was, hey, that's a sign. So I go into the Quran and I find the chapter on the bees. And I'm looking at this thing saying there's a whole surah on the bees. And you remember now, the bees disappeared 2-3 years ago. You see, and we with this whole bee thing, when Einstein said when the bees go, you got about 4 years. And the time when he said it, and the time when the bees disappeared was 4 years after that would be 2012. You see what I'm saying? Rudolph Steiner has a book out on the bees. There's another book I call A Shamanistic Way of the Bee. That's the one you can get in print by a guy named last name Buxton. But the point I'm trying to make here is the Quran provided that surah. So some of the people, I think Brother Shabazz told me a couple of months ago, he said that surah, when you read it, it gives you instructions on this whole bee thing. So the point I'm trying to make here is we can't throw out no sacred text. There's no sacred text. There was even a text that was put together. One of the guys, translated this text out of, his name was Jean Dorès, wrote a book called The Secret Books of the Egyptian Gnostics. And he was a papyrologist, and he studied papyrus. And he read a papyrus in his book, The Secret Books of the Egyptian Gnostics, where whatever this papyrus was saying, these angelic hosts were saying, when the people in the Conference of Nicaea and the 8 other conferences, or how many there was taking things and ripping several texts together to make the Bible, they say we was overseeing it, and we would inspire them to put certain texts in that would bring you wisdom later on. So they made sure that even though they was making a debauchery of these ancient scripts, they made sure that several texts and several things was encoded in those texts that you could get it 1,000 years later. So there's a whole angelic host or a whole spiritual host that's always doing things, and that's the way you got to look at all of this. That's the way you got to look at all of this, including music and everything else. So yes. So but this is the thing. The other thing is quit worrying about when other people gonna do shit, and only worry about when you gonna do something. That's one of the problems. When is these black people gonna wake up? No, nigga. When you gonna wake up to realize that? Yeah. When you gonna wake up to realize that you waking up means that you got to do the work. And that's the most important thing, you see. Yeah. Don't get discouraged. You see?
Definitely. I agree with that 100%. Mm-hmm. Let's get to some of these calls. Okay, caller from 302 area code. Yes, caller, are you there?
I'm just listening.
Okay, no problem. Thanks for listening, sister. No questions at all?
No, not at the current time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, we got a lot of listeners just listening on the show. Let's get to the caller from 718-683. Yes, caller, are you there?